Hello everyone, this is Gamer with Opinions, and I'm very happy to present this video. This is the first of a series that'll be a weekly series. It is presented in collaboration with the Home Total War community, the modding community to be exact. And throughout the efforts of Len Jane and many others in the community, they came up with the idea of highlighting one mod per week for Rome Total War products. Um, a vote has been taken, and the result was a landslide for Europa Barbarorum 1, the original Rome Total War game, and it is a no-brainer of a choice. This mod has been a landmark in the community and in the gaming scene itself, up to a certain extent, of course, but still, it was really a landmark that set standards on many aspects as to what a mod should be for Rome Total War, but more exactly what Rome Total War should have looked a bit more like. I'm not going to bother you with the historical details of all the mud came to be, this and that. What I will say is that this mud has a very living community that has produced many different add-ons to enhance the experience of this mud. This mud is very immersive. It is considered to be quite difficult to play. The campaigns, if you're doing a full campaign, they are long, be warned. If you are a new player or a newer player and you don't have much experience with mods, this mod might prove a bit hard to install. But you can ask in different forums and stuff, advice if you run into any problems. It's not like it's a process for rocket scientists, but it's a bit overcomplicated, let's say. It can be simplified. That being said, let's go and look at the mod itself. One of the nice thing we're going to notice about this mod first is the splash pages. They are beautifully done, and as you can see by the crest here, so you can guess that we have access to many a faction. Here I'm showing one of my test games. It's the last one I'm testing at the moment. This is a game with the Getai. And we have progressed nicely. We're getting into war with the Macedonians, blah, blah, blah. But it's not what we're interested in here. What we're interested in is to show you first this. When you first start a game with this mod, as with many mods, older mods, the newer one don't require this step. You have to activate scripts. Otherwise, well, mud is not really working. So here we have activated our script, and we can look at this beautiful map. As you can see, it's very nicely done. We are not on a 1 year basis per turn here. I think we're at 4 turn per year. And so buildings, you have plenty of buildings. They do different things, and they will pop up depending on the size of your settlement. So you have to consider many factors when you are building your cities. They do serve different purpose, and the bonuses can be cumulative at times. There's also cultural penalties and stuff to be considered that are factored in this mod. Uh, for the units, it's the same thing. The choice proposed are pretty interesting. The troops are not crystal brittle, so the battles tends to be long. We can see here the traditional folksmen and slingers. So the representation is pretty nice. Here we have family members looking for one of my army corps, and here's one of the things that you do eventually is that as you go into outside of your territory, because they have defined traditional territories for different tribes. So like here, this is not is in the Getai lands. Historically speaking, the Getai never held this part for any significant amount of time. So we have access to Thracian troops in this area. And so that helps to reflect the spread of civilization there was. We can also, if I can find a family member outside, thought I had one. Yeah, I think I have one here somewhere. Yeah. So we can look at the mercenaries. As you can see, mercenary unit available, plenty. But as you can see as well, 5,000, 3,300, and so on and so forth. Not cheap at all. But they are good units, but not cheap at all. Economy, money, it's a problem in this mod. You have to be careful about your management, and you need a minimum critical mass to be reached for your economy to get going. It's not unusual to suffer at the early stage of the game, mechanically speaking, and going into the red. We're gonna quit this game so that we can go and look at the different factions that are proposed. So we have the Seleucids. They are very well represented, really. It's not an easy game per se. Then we got Bactria. Bactria is kind of a bit silly. That's one of the things that I will say about this mod. Um, any civilization that is based around horse archers, it's kind of unfair. You can sweep the game with those easy peasy, and your cost can even be very low. Many examples of that on the net, on the tube. People playing the Sakaroka, which are supposed to be pretty hard, and just sweep everything with them. It's really easy with horse archers. So Bactria, Armenia, the Sakarokas, among just to name those few, are deadly in this game. But I'm not blaming the modders here. Managing missile weapons, especially mobile missiles like horse archers, is really hard. The only way, by experience in games design that I've worked with, the only way we found to be able to control, in fact, any type of missiles um, is to really be able to apply penalties depending on the terrain itself. Some type of terrains you should just not be able to use some units. That is something that is missing in any mod. I've never seen it done in any mod so far, and it's really the logical way of controlling your missiles. The other way is also to apply specific penalties for specific events. Um, Bows. There is a reason why a lot of tribes were mainly spear throwers instead, or javelin throwers instead of bows based. Reason is they had lots of rain, and well, bows and rains they don't work well, really don't. So you can easily apply a penalty on the archer units when they are fighting in raining condition and such. Then you can actually limit the missiles to be not as OP. And like I said, it's not about this mod. It's in any type of games. Missiles are really hard to manage because as much as we want to be historically accurate, we do not play historically accurately. Most people, we are influenced by what we read, what we saw done, pretty much like the Romans themselves. I mean, Julius Caesar studied Alexander the Great campaigns and many other generals and tactician campaigns. That's how he got his education. Well, we have many hundreds of years of cumulative knowledge that actually defeats this purpose. We have seen how much missile is important and how much air domination or whatever, or ground domination in this case by the use of cavalry will be the winning strategies. So the player himself is not playing historically accurate. You have to compensate for that. The usual way is by applying historical penalties to limit the ability of using such unit and put the player into the situation where a general would have been at that time. That being said, the factions, like I said, you have a lot of choice. You even have Sabbateans, the African, this is only because there's a limit to the number of factions that you can do with Home Total War, the original version, because Africa looks a bit not desolated, but unpopulated. Large tracts of unpopulated things that actually should be populated, but there were limits, very harsh limits to what we could be done with this. So it's nicely done what they did. We have things like the Swedes, and of course the Cassis or Brits or whatever you want to call them. Of course, the Saramate and other people that are broken, and so on and so forth. The Epirotes, Lusitanians. Here, I would definitely argue with the mothers about the choices of territory and stuff, but that would be for another day. We can be picky about history when we get into the finer points, and nobody really have the real answer because sources are so iffy. Anyways, so you don't have the sound on the game because I don't want to get into the annoying sound, this and that, but the soundtrack is really worth it. Uh, I could demonstrate a battle, but that's it's not the object here. The object is really to show you, like, let's go into one faction, right? Just so we get, oh yeah, another example of beautiful splash page, and the informations that are given are very accurate, very specific on the given subject. You can actually plead that there's enough material in there, is historically speaking, to be considered partly educational. What I mean by that is that there is chances that the player will dig into the historical background of a given faction just because he enjoyed whatever the look of the soldiers or the feel of them, the way his game went. He wants to know more, digs into history, this and that. I wrote a paper a long time ago about that because I was making educational softwares at a given point in my career. And I was pleading heavily as to how a video game should be used to teach stuff, and that actually we could even bring project up to school level with video games to create a community of students between schools. It was part of a crime reduction project, and anyways, that was another lifetime. But games, yeah, they have that power to be able to educate people when they are well done. So here, if we look at how so they treated the Ptolemy, which is the Egyptian, we are not with the usual, Bronze Age or even pre-Bronze Age Egyptians that the vanilla game propose. I mean that is so frustrating when you first open a Total War game and you pick the Egyptian and you see their units and you go, What happened to you, Egypt, my man? I mean, where we are in the 1500 BCE or something by your troops, it's really, really sad. Here, they are so much more accurate with Hellenistic-based troops and some African-based troops, which is exactly what Egypt was at the time. We are in the succession of Alexander. So of course this is Hellenistic as heck. Again, the if you bother to check, and there is arguments to be made about the map about certain cities, but mostly this is quite accurate for the time period. Um, really, this is nice work again. Uh, all about this mud feels kind of right, but let's go into the drawbacks. Stability issues. There's always been a few stability issues with Europa Barbarorum. It didn't get kinder with time, sadly. So sometimes you will enter into a battle, finish the battle, and it'll crash, exiting the battle. Very sad, you're losing the battle result, and I don't know why. In my case, it's a lot of times when I do a heroic victory that I don't want to fight again. But hey, so that's the life of mods. It's not because the modders didn't do their job right. It's just because they're pushing the limits of the software with the mods. And when you push and push and push, well, sometimes stuff happens. Gotta take it with that. It comes with the territory. So if you don't want anything that crashes, don't play mods. Period. Uh, all right. So um, after all that, what can I say about the drawbacks? Battles can tend to be a bit long. Depends on the type of player you are. The moral aspects of the troops is way better managed in the vanilla version and in many mods as well. Um, the loss of a general is still a deadly penalty in your army or in on the AI side as well, but it's not as deadly as in the vanilla game. Although I would have wished personally for the penalty to be more gradual during the fight. The army doesn't get aware right away that the general is dead. Sometimes it wasn't even found out before after the battle. So I don't know how big of a game changer. Yes, historically speaking, you can find examples of some battles where losing the leader led to the demise of a given army, but you can find also many examples of the reverse where the leader died. Some guy knew about it. A sub officer He takes the lead. He lies about the debt, or he doesn't say, and this and that. He wins the day, or the army wins the day. Then the truth is revealed that the guy died gloriously at the start of the battle, this and that, and nobody thinks more of it because they won. And didn't know while they were fighting. Like I say, this I would say, like the penalties. Personally, I would make them like if it's a faction leader or faction heir. Then yeah, the penalties should be really, really major when they die and on the spot because those guys are highlighted on the battlefield. So everybody knows what's happening to them most of the time. That's why they tended to stay in the back unless they were crazy bastard like Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, to name a few. But most of them were more like Pompey, you know, Magnus Pompey, as a traditional general, who would stay at the back with the bodyguard troop and dispatch messages with signals and stuff. So, other than that, the only other thing that I can say, negatively speaking, it's there's a good thing and a bad thing. It is a very active community. So they're still working on the products. They're gonna port this. There's gonna be an official version, an official port of this to the remastered. I don't really know if it's gonna be expanded upon. I doubt it. I would expect them to expand on the EB2 product instead. Then again, I'm not God. I don't know everything. So I don't know what those guys are planning, and it'll be fun to find out once they make it public. So this is the end of this first video about modding. Yeah, sorry, I just forgot that there is a negative thing. Um, it's just a silly example, right? But it illustrates very well what I did live in the industry as well, and that can be very, very counterproductive. Uh, I've mentioned earlier that the install process is a bit complicated if you are a noob or if you are new to the modding use or to the mod use or to games in general. This process will be a bit complicated for you and you will probably mess it up and end up doing it many times before you get it right. Um, there are simpler way of doing it. So personally, I was having some problems because I upgraded my computer to Windows 11 and I had some config problems. I've asked in the community. Somebody gave me an archive. I installed it. It worked beautifully. You know, two-step install process. Everything's nice. He asked permission to post this to simplify the process for the people. And well, he couldn't get permission because the people that could give him permission were not there or were not answering at the time. And I'll stop there. Uh, my point is for stuff basic like this, like stuff that is actually spreading your game, making it easier, you never object to. You never object to. You say, thank you very much for the time you've put into this, and yeah, would you post it here or there? So you know, so it's easily found, and you link it yourself through your sites and everything, and everybody's happy, and you will get probably more growth that way because it's more accessible. Uh, that is the problem with having a community based around a specific product or mod. People become possessive of it. So then there are structures that will appear, and they get overcomplicated, and that prevents good stuff from happening sometimes. That being said, Europa Barbarorum, if I had to put a note on it, well, 9.5 out of 10. The crashing issues with the battles, and some little other things that I can be picky about, but I won't mention, makes it a point 0.5. So this has been a pleasure to cover this mod. I hope I didn't make too many enemies by speaking my mind, but well, that's why I picked this name, Gamer with Opinions, because I will always voice my opinions. How much unpopular they might be at times. So thanks for listening to this. I will be making a video on a specific mod that I'm very excited to present. I'm finishing testing it. I'm not going to spoil what it is. So thank you very much everybody for watching. See you next week with the next mod that I'm not going to announce as well, as I don't even know what it will be. We are going to vote on the order of the next mods presented. Take care, do all that kind of good stuff, subscribe, share, etc., etc. And everybody be extra prudent with your money. Times are hard and they're gonna get way harder. So don't spend for nothing. Play games like this that don't get much to acquire, especially that now they're on sale. So thank you very much and take care.